This week, on Monday, on Beware of Spoilers, we'll be talking about Season 2, Episode 1 of The Last of Us. And on 30-Minute Reviews, we'll be talking about Mission Impossible 2. On Tuesday, on the Backlog Files, we'll be talking about the new indie game Bookbound. On Wednesday, on Beware of Spoilers, we'll be talking about Daredevil Born Again, the Season 1 finale. On Thursday, also on Beware of Spoilers, we'll be talking about the new movie Sinners with Michael B. Jordan, directed by Ryan Coogler. And on Sunday, we'll be rounding out the week with Season 2, Episode 2 of the revival on Disney Plus of Doctor Who, also on Beware of Spoilers. As always, you can keep track of our schedule on mwpnews.com. Good morning and welcome to Beware of Spoilers. I am Adam on this. It is April 14th. And we're here today to talk about the new season of The Last of Us, which made its premiere last night at about 9 o'clock. And I think that, now again, let me get into this. I watched The Last of Us, the TV show. I owned the video game, The Last of Us, because it came with my PS3 years and years and years ago. I played a little bit of it in the beginning, don't like stealth games, never got back into it. I respected the game for what it does narratively, but never really got into it too deeply because, again, the gameplay wasn't exactly something that I gelled with. Which, I ended up watching some of the clips on YouTube and stuff like that, but I never really got into hardcore playing that game. Now, point of all this is I did not play The Last of Us Part 2 either. I'm familiar with some of what happens in the game, same as I was with The Last of Us, just because of, pop culture references and people constantly talking about it, and the constant complaining about this game when it came out in 2020, because people didn't understand what they were doing, and they were didn't understand what they were doing. It was a lot of bad faith. All right, there's a whole thing. We're not going to get into it here. But regardless, it's we're now in The Last of Us Part 2, and let's see how this goes. Now, this episode, I was anticipating, and I think I said this a few times, that, there is a big moment. I'm not going to say it for people listening to this who haven't played the game, but there's a big moment early on in the game that kind of sets the entire game in motion. I'm not going to spoil what it is, because that moment, if you don't know it's coming, it's going to be impactful. But I had a kind of over under how many episodes do we have until that moment happens, and I was surprised it didn't happen in this episode. I'm going to be completely honest. I would have thought they would have had that cap off this episode. That would have been the big oh shit moment of this episode, especially considering there's only 7 here. So whatever, it is what it is. That didn't. Let's talk about what didn't happen. I think that this is the longest I've seen. Oh no, she was in one of the Transformer movies. It's definitely the best performance I've seen Isabella Merced give in anything, and she plays Dina. And I think what we're kind of doing here in this episode is just kind of laying out where we are. What has been going on with these characters in the last 5 years, because it's been 5 years since The Last of Us Season 1, not in real life, obviously, in the show, it's the 5-year time gap, and now Ellie's now 19, Joel is now 5 years older, and what is going on? Early on, we get this girl, Abby, who has vowed revenge, because she wants to kill Joel. I don't remember if they gave her motivation, so I guess to be safe, I'm not going to say it, because I don't want to spoil that, in the event that they didn't explain why she wants to kill Joel. Because that's also something that's bigger down the line in this game, in this show. So long story short, we're going to be watching this, and this is just kind of laying out where we are. Joel is in therapy. Joel is overseeing construction in the commune run by his brother. He is, he's, and at first I was like, oh, this is, it's weird that this is the entire first episode. And it's just this kind of like, happy, everyone's kind of happy, everything's great, things are going good here. Because the thing with that really bumped into me is that it's like, we only have 7 episodes, so we really only have 6 to get into the whole meat and potatoes of the plot. Then I thought back and I was like, well, a good amount of season 1, of the first episode of season 1, if not the entire episode of season 1 of that, wasn't it just like Nico Parker, like, is that her name? Sandy Newton's daughter, who looks just like her. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, I rewatched the first episode of The Last of Us, and I had just watched Mission Impossible 2. I was like, holy fuck. Like, but the point is, it's like, you have this, this issue where that first episode is kind of the same thing. There's not much in terms of zombies. It's just, the cordyceps is starting to take control, and, and most of the episode is that. And it's kind of the same thing here. I would say more so here, because I don't think we get any action except for at the very end when Abby shows up. But I think it'll be interesting to see how they play that. What do they do with Abby this early? I don't know the specifics of what happens in the game. I guess so broadly what happens, which puts you in a weird position, especially for talking about it. But yeah, I enjoyed the episode. I think that there is a world where they could have gotten to that moment by the end of episode 1, and I'm surprised that they didn't. I appreciate that restraint, because I think it's going to make for a better fake out, so to speak. I think it's going to hit harder the longer they hold to show that moment. What else have we got with this? I love the dynamic between Ellie and Dina. I love their whole, their dynamic as friends. Like the two of them when they're going into the supermarket and they're trying to get the clicker, and she is and she is like the two of them are miming out what they're gonna do. Like it's funny. The two of them have this really endearing back and forth, and I think that's really fun. I buy the chemistry between them. It'll be interesting to see how they do the rest of this season, and where they cut off, because I know for a fact the show got renewed for season 3, and I think they're not going to do The Last of Us Part 3, which isn't out as a game. I don't think they're going to do that as a TV show. I think this TV show ends where Part 2 ends. So the question that I have is, where does this season end? And then where does the season end in the narrative, and how does that play? And I think that's kind of a good and important question to deal with. And again, I don't know the specifics of the story of the game to be able to say definitively, well, there's a clear cutting off point. It was like, what was it in if you go back and listen, I did call that Infinity War was going to end with the snap. There are things where if you read it, it's like, oh, there's a clear dividing line here between Part 1 and Part 2. Or between Part 1 and Part 2 of Part 2. So the idea that I don't know what that is here leaves us in a weird place. And also, can we just talk about I almost said Maureen O'Hara, Catherine O'Hara, just acting her ass off in this episode. Like, goddamn, she had a fantastic, very small bit performance. And I don't think that I can think of, when I think of her, I think of Schitt's Creek, or Waiting for Guffman, or any of those movies. I think of her in I don't think I can think of any time I've seen her play dramatic. and she just hits it out of the fucking park here. This monologue she gives, talking to Joel directly, like, about, like, I resent you because you killed my husband, and I know I shouldn't resent you for that, but I can't get rid of, like, that whole conversation is so good, and she just nails the delivery. It is fantastic. And I think she's great as a therapist. I don't know if she comes back or not, because we'll see if we have continual check-ins with Joel all season over whether or not he's going to, check in with the therapist like Daredevil. But we'll see. I think this is a well-executed first episode to kind of get us reacclimated. It's kind of like sticking your toe in the water to get you back to where we are. I don't know if it's necessarily the best move, considering you're on a truncated episode order, to have it be that entire thing. But at the same time, it's a truncated episode order with the knowledge that you are almost certainly going to get picked up for another season, so you can split the game up into 2 seasons. Because The Last of Us Part 2 is a massive game. So it's a weird conundrum to put yourself in as a writer, but I think that they kind of are in the right spot here. I think that they're handling it very well out of the gate, but we'll see. I have confidence. I have confidence in Neil Druckmann and Craig Mazin to be able to carry this over the finish line, and I think they'll be able to do it. Now, my question is, do we get the same backlash that the video game got? I don't know. We will see. It's gonna be fun. My assumption is anyone who would get involved in that and get into the culture war of that would have already gotten it out of their system about this. So by the time it's like, well, they're doing an adaptation of the game, what did you think they were going to do? Like, change it drastically? Like, no, it's an adaptation. They're going to do it mostly the same. Like, it's an interesting place to put the characters, I think. And I think it's too, it's like, Joel in this new life is pretty fun too. I love this new life that he's in, and just the sarcasm from him the whole way. Like the scene where his brother's wife comes to him and goes like, "Hey, so I need you to do what's it called? I need you to build more houses." He goes, "Well, you see, it works out. We have this big dial that like we have down to low now. If we turn it up to high, we can build faster." Like his delivery there is great. His back and forth even with Dina is also great. But like the whole thing when you get to what's it called? Like, what was the other? There was another really big thing that was like his dynamic with Ellie being as different as it is really interesting, and I wonder if Ellie suspects something. I wonder if Ellie suspects the truth. Like, did, what's it called? Like, is he actually telling the truth about what happened when he rescued her? And I wonder if she suspects that he's not. Because we don't really get enough of them together to get that. But we have enough of a one-sided account of just this, of the issues between the two of them, that we can kind of suss out that it's like, oh, well, there's something here that is, that may run deeper than just, as Maureen O'Hara put it, or Catherine O'Hara put it, a simple, this is just every 19-year-old and their father. Like, it may run deeper than that. And we'll see. We'll see if that's actually the case. But yeah, I think that is a good place to wrap up for today. Because like I said, it's a very plot-light episode. It's very much just like, where is everyone now in the 5 years that have passed? Okay, great. We now know what's going on here. and we've set the stage. We've basically put all the pieces in place on the table, so that way we can go out and and tell the story this season. So we'll see. We'll see how that works out, and we will see how the show continues. We'll be doing this every Monday until the end of the run. We may do the rehearsal. I'm going to watch the rehearsal. I think the rehearsal we're just going to end up doing one at the end of the run. But yeah, I mean, we will wrap up there for today. Our next episode of the show, as said in the beginning, off the top of my head, I think it's just Sinners. And just a correction on that, that is not what that lane is for. Just a correction on that, Sinners will not be on Thursday, Sinners will be on Friday. Although tomorrow we may have something, depending, I'm going to see something, we may have something to talk about after, but I'm not entirely sure yet. So we'll end up seeing, we'll see what comes of it after. There may be a 30-minute reviews episode tomorrow on top of everything. But we will wrap up there for today. And until our next episode, have a great rest of your week.